All right, guys, we did something really cool. So just for this review, I actually went out, bought a pizza, and got my wife to put licorice all over it. Check this out. No, why would I do that? That's ridiculous. Let's review this movie. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Paul Thomas Anderson is back with Licorice Pizza. What a title. We're going to talk about the movie, and I'm going to tell you guys why I believe this one is worth watching on the big screen when it drops on December 25th. Let's get into it. So this is the story of Alana, Kane, and Gary Valentine growing up, running around, and going through the treacherous navigation of first love in the San Fernando Valley, 1973. PTA loves him some San Fernando Valley, and we love us some Paul Thomas Anderson. He is one of those directors, every time there's a movie coming out, I am salivating, along with pretty much everyone else in the world. But this is a very different style of movie, different compared to what he's given us as of late. This is what a lot of people are saying is one of his more rewatchable films that he's done quite a bit, because oftentimes when you watch a movie like There Will Be Blood or Magnolia, it takes a lot out of you. They're incredible, but it takes so much out of you, that kind of emotional investment. This movie, while you're very much invested emotionally with these characters, especially the two central figures, and every time they're on screen, it's electric because of the performances. Their first performances in a movie, by the way, we'll get to that. But the chemistry, the way they interact, just the realism behind how they're coming across to us as an audience. They're just so likable, and you get that investment from those performances that are much lighter than what we're used to in his movies nowadays. And I love that. You could call it a coming-of-age story. You could call it more of a comedy than anything. But at the end of the day, it's a comedic, romantic drama directed by Paul Thomas Anderson that has such a tight screenplay. And the fact that you can get that from a film and also deliver on such witty and deliciously comedic laughs that come from the one-liners from the characters. And there are one or two moments that some people may see, roll their eyes at, and say, okay, but you look at the time period of the 70s, and that doesn't make it okay what they are saying, right? But it does feel, I guess, authentic to the time. But the majority of the jokes that come from our main two characters, and not presented to us as a joke, but more so just everyday interactions and seeing these two humans play off of each other in this way, it is one of the most authentic theatrical experiences and just movie experiences as a whole I've had in so long, right? And I love this genre when it delivers. I often go by, how hard does the comedy hit? And even though not every laugh is a belly laugh, I can look at most of the one-liners here and say, all right, that was creative, that was authentic, and it captures that time, the 1970s, in such a way that visually, and we'll talk about the visuals in a little bit, is striking, but it's also full of references and nods and just those subtle, part of the movie is dealing with waterbeds, right? When's the last time you saw a waterbed? I wish I had a waterbed. But the character of Gary, yeah, he's young, right? He's an actor. He's also an entrepreneur, right? He prides himself on being successful in ways that other people can't be. And then he runs into the character of Alana, played by Alana, who is still trying to find her way, but she's much older, right? Gary, he's 15. Alana, she says in the movie she's 25. At one point she says she's 28, but she's in her mid-20s. And that's the time, trust me, hey, me right now, you're just kind of trying to figure yourself out, right? Am I really doing what I thought I was meant to do? Where am I going in my life? Am I on the right path? Yada, 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 right? Everyone gets there and everyone has been there, but to see the way that she plays it and questioning her interactions at points in the film. At one point she's talking to someone saying, why am I hanging out with Gary and his friends all the time? Is it weird that I'm doing that? That brings a realism to her character, but you can't help but to be fascinated with someone like Gary who, at first it feels like he has it all figured out at that young age, but you slowly start to realize that both of these characters are dealing with not only insecurities, but the other things that life has to throw at them. And that's what the movie is, right? You're going to ask yourself, okay, what's the point of the film at the end of the day? But I love a movie that showcases realism like this and two characters that are starting to fall for each other in authentic ways. And that kind of brings us to one of the things I've seen brought up about this film, understandably so. It's the age gap, but not the age gap, more so the fact that he is 15 and she's in her mid-20s. And I will admit, I'm not fully on board with that personally, but it all comes down to, okay, how does the movie handle it? And I believe Paul Thomas Anderson handles it in such a way that never comes across as something that is too much, right? Because this, of course, is at a point a two-sided relationship as opposed to a one-sided relationship, which at first I was okay with. Gary, he's 15, he sees this older woman, of course he's going to be like, oh my gosh, right? But eventually it becomes that. But even then, I never thought it was handled in a way that was distasteful. Some people may disagree, and that may be where the fallout of the movie comes. And I completely understand that, right? But you're looking at the filmmaking and the quality and just the passion that comes from PTA, the way that it's handled, and it never really bothered my affection for the movie at the end of the day. But I want to get into something that I believe is the best part of the film, and that is the atmosphere that it creates. Something that, with movies I've watched this week, that's been a reoccurring theme. Just watch Nightmare Alley, going to review that soon. But Licorice Pizza, this almost embracing, like I'm hugging myself, heartwarming feel that the movie gives you, interlaced with comedy, interlaced with so many great supporting characters. But the way that you feel, a lot of that is evoked through the visuals. I just think the cinematography here is outstanding. It's so good because it's just more complex than most movies in this genre, but the color grading, the color correction is wonderful. You get the scenes that showcase the landscape, you get these tracking shots, one in particular where both characters are running, not going to say where they're running to, and I just think it's great. And the way that all of that comes together in that third act, the wonderful finality, that sense of finality in this movie that not all of these movies in the genre captures, mixed with the amount of times that I was laughing. And not every joke hits in that way, but most of the subtle jokes in there, I'm giggling or I'm like, that is just such creative and good writing. I'm so on board with what this movie's trying to do. And last but not least, the performances. Bradley Cooper is in this film, and he's great, but it did feel like an extended cameo, so I'm not sure where he will fall when it comes to Oscars, but he's so good when he's in it. Barbara Streisand, it's in the trailer. Really great banter they have there. Sean Penn, Tom Waits in this film, their scene was just... it was so outlandish and ridiculous, but it's like they keep encountering these people and they're going from one thing to the other, and they always find themselves crossing paths yet again, but they're both dealing with this relationship in such, I keep using the word authentic way. Maya Rudolph is in this film. Benny Safdie plays the character of Joel, who I wish we could have explored him a bit more. That was fascinating. But the two of note here are, of course, the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, Cooper Hoffman, who is just, oh my gosh, he's so good. It feels like he's been doing this for a long time. I was enamored by his performance, man. Just the most likable, and at times kind of like, okay, I can do this, a little more confidence than he needs, but I thoroughly enjoyed his portrayal. Alana Haim, she almost steals every single scene that she's in. Such a relatable character. She plays it in a way that is fantastic, and I was just, both of these performances, but Alana Haim, she's going to be a star. I can see it now. It's written in the stars now. And my biggest criticism with the film is any time they are not on screen together, because I'm just not as interested or invested, right? I like some of the subplots. There are a few characters that at least keep you entertained, but whenever they weren't on screen, I'm like, okay, can we get back to them, or can we get back to them together, right? And I'm not going to say the movie drags when they're not on screen, but because you're so invested solely in their relationship, some of the other things, it just kind of feels like window dressing, and I'm not all there on. It looks good, right? I'm just not as invested as I am in these other moments. Regardless, let me give you guys my score, but before I do that, thank you so much for watching. If you like this review, one of my most anticipated of the year, and you want to show me support, drop your thumbs up down below, and don't forget to let me know what is your favorite Paul Thomas Anderson film. I may be working on a tier list, but Licorice Pizza has every ounce of quality you expect from a PTA film, and the performances are magnetic. Alana Haim makes every ounce of screen time memorable, and Cooper Hoffman is so charming. It is a beautifully simple story with top-notch dialogue, and I am still smiling. Like I said, it's going to be a rewatchable film. How does it hold up on rewatch? Does it go up or down? Probably not. Regardless, my score is a 92% for Licorice Pizza. It delivered like I had hoped it would, but even more importantly, it's one of those movies you just have to see on the big screen. Even though you wouldn't think so, right? Not flashy, not big, not full of CGI. No. It reminds me of the Martin Scorsese meme, this is cinema. That was Al Pacino. All right, guys. I'll see you soon.